Good afternoon. Right, I'll try again. I had a slight technical hitch there earlier, but we seem to be up and running now, so apologies for the delay. So welcome to my Facebook Live this afternoon. My name's Jenny McCormack from Gemini Crafts, and I'm going to be working with the Freezin Fun stamp set again. This will probably be my last live crafting session featuring this, and I thought I'd do some work with the scenery, which I mentioned briefly yesterday. Hi Wendy, thank you so much for joining me. So let me show you what we've made so far with this set. So this is the stamp set itself, Freezin Fun, and it has dies that match this. So the dies cut out all of these items, cuts out the snowballs, the set of snowballs here, the eyes and everything else. It doesn't cut out this one here, and it doesn't cut out this, but it cuts out some other shapes for the snowflakes. So that's Freezin Fun, and these are the cards that we've made so far. So just very straightforward. The die set also includes this lovely curve, which you can make look like mountains, snowdrifts, hills, sea, whatever you want it to. So there's one, and this is the other half of that. So basically I've just interchanged the white and the patterned paper for those. Hi Babsy, thanks for joining us. Then we had this one, which is a slightly stepped up version. These were stamped straight onto the card, and this one here I've die cut the characters out, and I've got them obviously on the slopes there. And then we did spinner cards yesterday, so penny spinner cards. I know there's other types of spinner cards where the seal will move up and down, and I did another version of that, a stepped up one, with the rabbit and the penguin throwing snowballs at him, and the rabbit obviously is trying to avoid being caught by the snowballs. So a little bit of fun for that one yesterday. So one of the things I thought about when doing the scenes was to use an embossing folder to make the snow look like a snowdrift. So what I've done is I've cut out some panels using the embossing, using the die that does the angle, and you can angle this as much or as little as you like across your paper, and then putting it through the subtle embossing folder in different directions, so that when you put any two of these together that go in a different direction, it either goes that way or that way. And also you can have, you know, any combination of those. So I've done a whole series of those, because what I'm going to do is create a scene using these panels as the snow. I just think it gives a little bit more interest than the plain white. The only thing you would have to note is that you can't stamp straight onto here, because it's now got an uneven surface. So we will stamp onto another piece of card. And if you were doing a spinner card, you wouldn't want this embossed edge to be here, because that will conflict, I think, with the motion of the spinning, because it's got more, it'll have more friction here. Having said that, I haven't tried it, but I think my gut instinct says that it's not going to work. Hi Pauline, thanks for joining us. So what I was thinking, and I haven't quite decided if I'm going to do white or Coastal Cabana, I think I'm going to do Coastal Cabana, is I'm just going to create a scene with these layers, this was a little bit short, so I might need to cover up that right hand side. Oh no, perhaps I've cut them down slightly, so that I've got them going in different directions. So it really does make it look quite 3D. This would be really lovely if you had different colours of card for like an autumn scene or a scene of hills where you've got, you know, maybe purples and greens, or greens and browns, or, you know, whatever. So my thought is to basically do that, create a scene with those layers. So all I'm going to do is basically stick the layers down, and then I thought it'd be quite fun just to have some penguins with a snowball fight. So in the dies, it cuts out the 3 snowballs here in a line. So what I've done is I've cut them out of our white felt. They cut out really easily. So as you can see here, so it's not too heavy felt. So all I've done is put the die on it. As you can see how cleanly it cuts that out. We're not with any extra layers or anything, just straight in our die cutting machine. So I thought we could have some fun with that, and I'm also going to layer up the hills. And I thought what I could also do is put these at different heights to give you the sense of depth. Now in the cards earlier this week, I have used the patterned paper at the top. Just for today, I'm going to leave it plain for the sky, but you could obviously use a sponge to colour that in. You could stamp into it, whatever you wanted to do. So let's start at the top here and pop this one down. So what I'm thinking is going to start at the back and then work forward. So I don't need all of this covered up. Okay, so let's just pop that one down first and see how we do. Now it's brilliant sunshine out there, so it seems really odd now to be doing snowy scenes, but there we go. Perhaps I hadn't better speak too soon, do you think? Okay, now this is just slightly smaller from the way that I've cut it, so I can always trim this down if I wish. Okay, so I've got one layer there, and then I want a layer going the opposite direction. Now there are some stitched lines in here. When you put it through the embossing folder, you want to do that after you've cut this out. Otherwise, if you're doing the embossing folder first and then cut it, as you cut through, you're going to flatten some of this because of the pressure of the roller. So I think I'm going to have that, I might do that one flat as well. I don't want to have too many layers of dimensionals. So I'm just putting a small amount of glue, as you can see, across the back, like so. Okay, now I have got trees and things that I can tuck in if I wish. So I've got some small trees which I've stamped. I haven't coloured all of them in, but I will add some of those. So the next layer I'm going to add, I'm going to put up on dimensionals. Let me grab those. Some here. There we go. So I hope you were able to catch some of my other videos. I think the first of my penny spinner cards was a bit like how not to do it, but I did get there in the end. ones when you haven't done them for a while. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this one up here. Let me just have a look, because I can drop this one down. Just want to make sure that I'm covering the whole card. So I'm going to bring this one almost right the way down to there. Like so. And then this will be my final one. So it makes a real difference, doesn't it, with the images at different angles from the embossing. So the embossing folder I've used for that is called Subtle. It's this one here, and it's got the number there, 151775. It's one of our thick embossing folders. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this one is I'm just going to put some dimensionals across the bottom, so this ends up at the same height as that one, but I'm not actually going to add glue to the top because I might tuck some other bits and pieces in. I've got my snowballs to go in as well, so just making sure I've got that the right way. So when I put these through the embossing folder, I just looked at the direction of the lines and made sure that ones that were going that way down were in that what's the word? Orientation. Okay, so I'm going to pop this one here. Like so. Now I know these are slightly uneven, but I can chop those off at the end. So there we go. What do we think of our new snow scenes? Hi Lynn, Tracy. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is just trim these edges flat down, just so that I don't have to do it when I've got all the characters on. Oh, I've just spotted I've got a little gap in there, so I'll make sure I've got a penguin sat in there. If you can see that, it was just a little bit too close, so I think one of my penguins might be going in there. Okay, now I have got dimensionals behind this, which is probably not very clever, but it should take all of that out, which it does. So one of the benefits of our new trimmer is that it will cut much deeper layers than previously, like so, especially as I was going against the edges there. Obviously what you could do is make sure you cut these to size before you apply them to the card, and then you wouldn't need to do that. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to put a penguin in here because that's where my little gap is, or I could put a tree in here, a tree or two. So let me just do a little bit of colouring. I didn't want to do too much, but I've hardly done any, have I? It took me a while to work out which bits of this should be snow, so it's got snow on the top and then snow on each set of branches. This is dark shaded spruce, and I stamped it, the trees in shaded spruce. Okay, so I'm just going to do these really quickly. And as I say, this is not a colouring lesson by any means. But I am using our blends pens, which are really good for colouring on straight onto card. So you can just As I say, amuse yourselves, chat to each other while I'm just colouring these in. Obviously I could use any of the characters, and you could use different trees as well. And talking of trees, I've got another card after this one to show you. Let's do that. Let's just add a bit of colour to the penguins. So I've got light and dark smoky slate. So I'm just going to do down the edges of the penguin. Leave the rest of him white. Although I'll do some orange. Did I do his? Oh, yes, I did his little wings. Flippers. I don't know what you call them really on a penguin. Like so. So if you used a larger base card, you could make a really wonderful scene. And if you used our trimming the town papers, you could also make a scene using those, because they have like a background with mountains and things. And obviously you could combine the two. Okay, just add some feet here, flippers, and a beak, like so. So it was lovely to catch Lynn crafting earlier, and I look forward to catching up with Babsy. She's online here and she also does live Facebook lives, so do check those ladies out. They're part of my team, and I think Tracy's on here as well. She is. Okay. I'm not being particularly accurate, I'm sorry. I intended to have these coloured ready, to be honest, but as usual, ran out of time. Let's just add this colour, only because it's the hand. You could do these scarves in football colours, couldn't you, for your local football team? I hope you can see that. Oh, how did I get slopes? Yes, it's the die that comes with the Freezin Fun set. Let me find it for you there. So useful. Oops. This one here, and it goes right across the card, and it has stitching on both sides, if you can see that. So you can make some really quick cards with scenery using it. I was thinking hills in, you know, different shades of green would be stunning. There we go. That will do for the moment. Okay, so for my scene here, I want the two penguins. Now what you could do is you could do some reverse stamping or mirror stamping like I did last week, so that these penguins are facing each other. So the scarf will be, so you'll have one like that effectively and one like that, which you can do with the Stamparatus. If you look for our Facebook Live from last week, on one of the days it has, or if you look on YouTube, if you look up mirror stamping or reflection stamping, you'll find it. So that would be quite good fun. And I've got some trees to go in. So I'm thinking I could have tucked those behind there if I thought about it, but let's pop. Sorry if my hand is in your way. Just pop some trees like that. And then we're going to have these here. And then I'm going to add a whole bunch of snowballs just for a bit of fun. So this one behind I'm going to put flat, and then I'll put the other one in front on a dimensional. And knowing me, I can't take everything off and then put it back because I'll forget where I put it. Let's find a dimensional for that tree. You could also put the trees through an embossing folder if you wished, or you could use other die cut trees if you have them. This one's going on dimensionals. So you can have some great fun with some scenes. You could combine them really with lots of our other scene stamps. As I say, the only thing to watch is that you can't have you can't stamp straight onto it when it's embossed, because it'll break up your stamping image. So I'm thinking I'm going to have him over that little gap there. So I'm going to put a dimension on the top and a bit of glue on the bottom, and that's really just to cover up. Can you see that tiny little gap in there? So just be wary of that when if you're trimming these quite narrow to save card. And glue on the bottom. Yeah, I had to think that was the right way round. Like so. So it's just sitting on there. I'm trying to think of the angle really. Needs to be much the same, doesn't it? I might not stick this one down, but do a reverse image one after the live. So what I'm going to do is add a pile of snowballs here. So these are from our white felt. You can put them on with glue dots or with a little bit of glue, entirely up to you. Because it's white, the glue doesn't show through. All I would say is don't add too much glue or it'll soak through the felt. So like so. They really are good fun. Oh, I should have put that on there. It's much easier to put it on here. Like so. Let's have one up here by him that he's throwing. So what's nice is that these get die cut as a set of 3, as I think I showed you on that sample here. So it's one die that cuts out 3 snowballs at the same time. So you could also use the stamps, because the stamps have the snowballs, and then you could die cut those. I'm just going to add one in the middle here. Like so. And then a couple around here. So these are quite useful for covering things up. A bit like bling. Like so. Might have another one up here. There we go. so I might as well use that one up. Yes, I'm going to put one there. Let me just turn this around. I want him to be throwing one back, so let's put one here. As I say, I will turn that one around because I think it would be nice to have them facing each other rather than being the same, but you get the principle. There we go. So all I need to add is a sentiment. So because this is embossed, I was going to use just a rectangle die here. Let's see what sentiments have I got here. Well, life's better when we're having fun together. Does seem to be a good one for that, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is put that on there, but only have it coming to the edge, because obviously this is quite big, and being lazy, to save me just cutting another one, I'm just going to do it like that. Just need to find the right size block, which is evading me. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I think I'm going to do it in the shaded spruce to keep that all together. You missed a bit on the orange scarf. Oh, thank you, Tracy. Oh, hi, Karen. Oh, that's a great idea. Yes, I love using magnets for things like that. Perfect. So let me stamp this one. I hope I get this fairly straight. There we go. So what I'm going to do is pop that here. Would have been quite good fun to put a snowball on there, wouldn't it, really? But it will do for now. Let me cut this. Let me move my shaded spruce out of the way. So it's always best to do this on a trimmer if you can. Okay, and one thing you'll notice is that the trimmer gets bits caught in this track. So if that happens, if you can see that, just use the edge of a piece of card and run it along that guideline, and then just flick it out at the other end. You can use a little alcohol wipe, okay, as well. But if you find your blade is just feeling a bit scratchy, then just do that to get rid of any excess bits of dirt, because you know the odd bits of card and thing drops into there if you're not careful. There we go. That's going to go on flat because this has got some dimension on it already. There we go. Oh yes, I see what you mean about the scarf. Thank you, Tracy. I was looking at that thinking, well, what have I missed? What have I missed? Oh, that is quite funny, isn't it? The other one's got a white bobble as well. I know I'm probably going to replace this, but so thank you, Tracy, for spotting that. There we go. Actually, I am just going to stick him down for now, just very lightly, like so, because otherwise I might forget and then he'll fall off, and then hey ho. There we go. So there we are. There's our fun scene card using Freezin Friends. So it does look quite different to, I mean, even this one. So this is very similar, but as a penny spinner card. But I do think that these, the embossing here makes a real difference. So talking about embossing, let me just put another card together, which I think you'll like too. And this is using the Evergreen embossing folder. And this is one that you really need to see in person. But as hopefully you can see from there, it embosses a line of trees at different depths. This is it on white card. So it's amazing that it's 3D because it has these trees in the distance and then you have these at the front. So what I was thinking for a very quick and easy Christmas card was literally to have a snow scene like so in front of the trees and literally just leave it like that. What do you think? Would that make a good card? Just have a look at your comments, ladies. Thank you. Yeah, it's the first time I've used this embossing folder properly. I mean, I've used it to cut out gold and things like that, but I just thought like that with a sentiment. I did think about wrapping some ribbon around it, but I quite like the completely white look, and I've actually got a white card. So this is the exact size of the card, but you could cut this down. I think I might just cut it down a little bit so that I've got a border. You could stamp Happy Christmas actually across the top of there, couldn't you? So let's just do it on one side. So I'm going to bring this down to 14.35. Like that. And you could obviously take off the top or the bottom. So I'm going to take this to 10 centimetres. So this is half a centimetre smaller, which is a quarter of a centimetre, if you like, all the way around on each of four sides. So I'm going to pop that straight onto there. Now where you've got this uneven embossing, you just want to make sure you have plenty of glue, just because you've got the different heights. Okay, so if you only put some down the side, this piece here could potentially curl up a little bit. Okay, so just make sure you're putting plenty on there. If I can see my seal, that's what I plan to use. Which I have. Yes, it's a nice folder, Karen. So this is the reverse side. Okay, so I'm using my seal on that and it works perfectly fine on there, on that embossed surface, without sticking myself to it. And I'm going to add some in the middle because of the embossing, so you can see there, got it all the way around. You could put this on a dark background. I think that would look nice as well. Like so. And then Now I could cut these down a little bit so that you see more of the trees. So I think I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach these together and then trim off the bottom rather than trim off two separate pieces, and then I know that I won't get a huge gap. Obviously you could bring this as far down as you want to see as much of the trees as you want. So just bring this down a little bit maybe. Just working out where I need to put my glue for the best position. So I'm going to put my glue along here, so I know that this is going to be covered up. Okay, and now I'm just going to attach it to everything. Place this along the bottom like so. And then I'm going to trim this to size and then trim it across the bottom because I want to see as much of that embossing folder as I can. Let me just press that down on there. So I'm just going to turn this over, cut it to 14.35 like so. And then just going to trim a little bit of this off the bottom. So that's half an inch. Like so. I'm wondering whether it had gone then. Has anybody else done that before now? Okay, yeah, I love that. So I did think a ribbon. Do you think with a ribbon or without? I've got so this is our blue shimmer ribbon. I've also got Pool Party. I did originally think red, but I think that's too much of a contrast. I could use that. What does anybody think? I was thinking just having it wrapped round here, like so. The only problem with that is I was planning to put my sentiment here on the right hand side, like so. So let me know what you think. Let me just see what anybody suggests. Of course I can, Pauline, no problem. The tree one, yeah? Karen says Pool Party. I think that is a bit more subtle. This is a little bit, although it does look glistening, doesn't it? And of course you can apply Wink of Stella to all your trees to make them sparkle if you wished. I suppose I could just have that across there with that on top. No, I think I'm going to stick with my original. I think, unless everybody thinks otherwise. Sorry, Karen. Something brighter, green or red. No ribbon. Yeah, see, I thought I did think red. That was my original thought. because that makes it Christmassy, doesn't it? I don't like it when I can't decide. Okay, let me stamp my sentiment while I'm deliberating. So I just need a small sentiment for that, only because that's just the size that I happen to have to hand. So I've got Itty Bitty Christmas, Christmas cheer, season's greetings, peace and happiness, that would work. Peace and happiness would also be quite nice. Celebrate the season would fit, but it's a little bit tight. And Christmas cheer, slightly too short. So it'd be one of those two. Any preference? What colour? Night of Navy, I'm thinking. But I know my Night of Navy isn't very well inked. So let's have a look. Just put that to one side. I've just got a piece of scrap paper. That's where the dies came from. Let's just see which one looks best. I could put both on actually. Let's reposition that. Heavy-handed on my season's greetings. I like the peace and happiness. It's a very peaceful scene, so that's my winner. Let me just stamp that off so I haven't got my cleaner to hand. Try not to over ink it this time. Quite a nice font. This is like a double line font. There we go. Peace and happiness. Right. Okay. Clean my fingers off. Let's layer this up. So this is going to go straight onto there with no ribbon. And again, because it's embossed, adding more glue than I would normally use just for a card layer. Like so. And this one on here. And I think flat. Yeah, because I've got quite a bit of height on there with these layers. So I'm just going to do this flat. And just keeping it equidistant really around that edge. There we go. And I am going to add a little bit of bling in the sky, mainly because I've got a tiny mark there. Words in saying, oh yes, I would if I had the ribbon. Yes, good point. Good point, Babsy. So I'm just going to use So I do have some from the Elegant Faceted Gems, some clear ones here, but I was thinking just plain gems. I have snowflakes. Unless it's a snow scene, or plain gems. I think these are too big, so either snowflakes, which feels sort of right to me. So the main thing is I cover up that, and I've got tiny hair on it. One, two. You could have these on the trees like little stars if you wanted. Like that. I could put one down here. I'm going to leave it and not overkill it. Okay, let me clean these out of the way. But that would be a really relatively quick card. I know these take a little bit of cutting out, but you could cut, if you had a strip that was say 2 inches long, then you could just put 2-inch strips like that through the machine, and then you'd be able to sort of split those. So there we go. I hope you like them. Very different look. One very elegant and simple, calming, peaceful, and then one as a bit of fun with snowballs going everywhere. So there we are. I hope you've enjoyed those, ladies. Let me have a look at the comments, make sure I haven't missed anything, and I'll just say hi to you. Fluffy, oh yes. Yes, I can't think what it's called either. So there we go, I'm back at my desk. I really appreciate you joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed what I've had to show you. Not particularly technical today, but I hope you liked it. It's something I wanted to try and do, and now I know that it works. So using the subtle embossing folder with the snow to create scenery, and I'm very tempted to do one similar in greens and browns to look like an English scene. So whether I'll get round to that, I don't actually know. But anyway, thank you for joining me, everybody. Thank you, Babsy, Pauline, Karen from Canada, thank you, and Lynn, and who else was here that popped in, who may or may not still be here, I don't know. Beth, Tracy, and Wendy. So thank you for those of you that have lasted the session. Pauline, I will order you the embossing folder on my next order, if that's okay, which will be Thursday the 1st, which is a brand new Stampin' Up year for us. It begins on 1st of October. And I can tell you that we have a paper sale coming up for the month of October. So I'm going to email information about that this evening. But if you like our designer papers and things like Forever Greenery and the Peony papers, Trimming the Town, all of those are in the sale at 15% off.